What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hardworking Happy Hour. I'm Sean.
And I'm Catherine, and as always, we'll be breaking down all things trades, entrepreneurship, and turning your creativity into a passion career. What is going on, Sean?
Hey, yo.
Welcome
Hey, yo. What's happening?
Daylight come and me wanna go
home. That's a great jam, and it's always stuck in my head because Max, he loves like the whole Cars soundtrack, and then randomly he loves that song as well. So it always comes up on my Spotify. My year-end rap this year is going to be wild. It's going to be just crazy. What's going on?
Oh, not much. It is bright and early on a Saturday morning.
Oh, God, it's so bright and early, but it almost feels late because we've been getting up so early.
It's true. That is true.
7 o'clock, 7 a.m.
on.
This is light work. It's like, feels nice to sleep in every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so it is 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. So our happy hour. I have coffee. Do you have anything? Do you have any coffee?
I got a Celsius.
Nice.
Should we even talk about missing last week, or should we just completely ignore it?
I feel like we need to come clean about it. Our schedule's just been off, and it's embarrassing.
It has.
And
it's embarrassing.
We're working through some issues on our end, and we're trying to get better. And
we did
get the best of us.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no! We'll come back stronger than ever.
Exactly.
We did at least get a couple messages that were like, "Hey, I missed the episode this week." We're like, "Oh,
somebody noticed."
Somebody noticed. Because we just put them out every week. People just listen to them, and you're like, "Would people even care if I wasn't here?" They did. They did, and it was really nice. So we are back. Sorry for that. Life gets a little crazy sometimes. Ain't that the damn truth?
Ain't that the darn truth?
God.
All right. So anyway,
we're not going to let it hold us back.
We're not going to let us hold us back.
Back to business as usual here. Yeah.
What's going on? How was your week? Or should I say the past 2 weeks?
Man, they've been great. They've been really good. We basically just finished up a project yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we did a really good job doing all the finishing touches. We still have a couple things to do. We're waiting on the irrigation to go in so we can do some sod and then joint fill. But other than that, I feel like we did a really good job of tying up all of the little loose ends, cleaning up, getting everything out of there. So yesterday we left the job site. The driveway was power washed. It was, we moved a ton of stuff out of there yesterday, and it feels like they have their backyard back, which they're super excited about. And I feel like we just did a good job, like just staying on task with all the little things.
Yeah, I agree.
And that felt good.
It did go pretty smoothly. I felt like this job in particular, it was a pretty big job. It was it had a little bit of everything. So it was a longer job. But as I had looked back and like noticed the dates of like when we did the piles and stuff, I was like, oh wow, we've been here for too long. But there were a lot of rain delays, and it was, it was a long job, but there were reasons for that. But this past like really 2 weeks, it really feels like we just kind of knocked it out of the park with like doing what we could with the weather and getting things done. And especially yesterday, just wrapped it up and gave it back to them nicely on a Friday afternoon to have their house back, which was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we really did lose a lot of time on this job with snow, with rain. My God, the rain has been insane.
I know. Everyone's always like, oh, you live in New Jersey. It must snow a lot there. It doesn't. It just rains. That's more annoying. We can work in the snow. We can't really work in the rain.
Yeah. Not with that attitude. But it's been kind of crazy. But we stayed on task, and I feel like every time that, while we were there, this whole job has gone really well. Mm-hmm. Like, as long as we, didn't have rain or didn't have snow, it was like when we're there working, like everything was going smoothly. Things, for the most part, were there exactly when we needed them. We weren't waiting on stuff for a long time. So I was pretty happy with that, and I think we can call that a W.
Yeah.
What do you think?
W.
Good old George W. Anyway,
uh,
so that was kind of my that was kind of my last 2 weeks. How was your last two
yeah.
weeks?
Oh, it was great. I mean, we were doing a lot of hardscaping, which is obviously my favorite part of any job. So
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty happy about that. Um, and yeah, I just felt like it went really smoothly. We didn't, other than I'm trying to think of like what went wrong, but there really isn't that much. Like the only thing I can think of is the UFP Edge. We ordered a little too little of it,
Yeah,
but then we made that work. So that even felt like kind of a win because we figured it out.
yeah, totally.
So everything just felt like it felt like a good, productive job that went smoothly, which is nice.
Absolutely, and it was for a friend of mine,
Yeah.
which that can always be a little bit dicey. Working for
Yep.
friends, sometimes it doesn't work out well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and honestly, I felt a little bit weird about it at first when they first asked me about doing it, and that was like probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, you know what? That's stupid. To feel like this is weird. The thing that really made it go so much smoother was like, okay, if you're serious about this, I'm just gonna do it like I would with a regular client. Like, all right, let's
Mm-hmm.
have that consultation call. Let's I feel like it gets a little bit weird or dicey or kind of convoluted when you try to be like, oh yeah, like I'll help you out with that, or just like
Yeah.
change the process because it's somebody that you know really well,
Agreed.
which it can kind of seem like easier to do. Like, okay, we won't do the normal consultation call. We'll just be like, and that is where things get like a little bit dicey because the communication gets a little bit different. The expectations aren't really clearly laid out. So,
Yeah.
once I looked at it like, hey, this is a really good friend of mine. I used to live with him at his old house. And it was like, okay, as long as, you know, we have clear communication here, we know what to expect from each other. Everything from that point on went great. And I was really glad that I just you know, looked at it differently. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a friend. I don't know if I want to, get involved with that because at the end, everything went really well. Um, and we just made sure I didn't take for granted like, hey, he's my friend. He's not going to get mad about this or whatever. Like, I wanted to make sure that we did everything that we normally do with updates and communication and keeping the job site as clean as possible. Or if we can't, hey, here's why. This is what you're going to expect. The driveway is going to be a little bit jammed up this week, but then it'll be out of here. So
Yeah.
I think as long as you kind of do that, and that's what we did, it went smooth and it went great. And I'm really happy that we were able to do it because it'll be like the first project that uh, I'll actually regularly, at least somewhat regularly, we're all busy, but get invited back to
Right?
be able to hang out at.
Yeah. You always say it's your backyard, it's just on someone else's house. But now this is the closest you've had to being able to be like, it's kind of like my backyard. I get to hang out there still.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the golden rule of Premier Outdoor Living. Hey, this is my deck and patio. It just happens to be at your house. So don't get too crazy with the suggestions, all right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little
Yeah.
worried about taking on a friend's job as well. But this client in particular, he's so about his business. It was like as long you guys were communicating regularly, you weren't doing that thing where you're like, "Oh, I know what he'll like." You still let them you didn't make any decisions for him. You still were like running things by him. The communication was great. He was there a lot, honestly. He got done work. He works pretty early, so he was there in the afternoons a lot. So then have a chance to like discuss what's going to happen next with him and like so I think I was very happy with how all that went.
Yeah. And I also know him so well that like I know that he can get like really like tied up in little details and like as long as you know to kind of like expect that. And I've always felt like that can kind of be difficult for some people when a client is like very particular about certain things But
Mhm.
as long as like you know that and it's communicated, like we've had clients like that before where it's like, hey, I want to see like all the options. Like I want to know what this is going to look like. Like I want to talk about this tiny detail right here. And it's like as long as you bring that up and like you are conscious of the fact that you're very particular and this detail is very important to you and we can address it before we start and get it figured out, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Like that can almost seem like a red flag. Um and the job in particular I'm thinking about was uh the last screen porch that we did, I think,
The motorized ones?
the motorized ones.
Yeah.
And they were very particular, but they were very upfront about it. And it was like, hey, these are the things that we want to look at and make
Yeah.
sure we have figured out. The spacing on like that outdoor kitchen was like we went through every inch and detail of that kitchen,
Mhm.
but we got it out of the way. You know, they were like, hey, I want to figure this out so we can order all the appliances way ahead of time.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, this isn't necessarily exactly how we would typically do it, but we got it figured out and it made everything so much easier after that because it was like we already went through every little detail. They knew what to expect. They
Mhm.
knew that, hey, they wanted to be involved in all of those little things. And these are the things that are important to them. And they weren't like the place that it can get really dicey is when those people are super particular, but they don't bring it up until after like you're done. You know, they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever you think, like just go with that." And then you like get halfway through building it and they're like, "I don't like any of this.
Yeah.
This is not what I expected." That's when it's a terrible experience, but
Yeah.
if you know that they're very particular up front or they're conscious of the fact that hey, they want to get all these details figured out and you do, it honestly makes the job go a lot smoother. So,
Mhm.
um
Yeah, and I think that
that's yeah, go ahead.
there's also like two kinds of picky. Like I feel like some clients are picky just because they want to feel like they have the upper hand. You know, like
Yeah.
it's like a like a
It's like a power move.
yeah, it's like a power move, and they want to feel like they have like every decision made and blah blah, and it's like a power move. And then other people are picky because they're just so excited. And the
Yeah.
clients who had the motorized screen, I think that they were so particular, but in like the best way. It was because they were so excited, and they were just they loved the process. They loved like being
Yeah.
involved. They loved like coming out and talking to us, and like
Yeah.
that to me that's like that makes like us excited because we're like, oh, you care as much as we care about how this turns out. So it's
Yeah.
like we're on the same wavelength here. But when it's coming from like an upper hand situation where they're like, well, hang on, I don't okay that 6-inch spacing right there, like then it's like, all right, well,
Yeah.
come on, dude, you don't actually care about that, you're just being annoying.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you can also tell like especially with those clients, like they were super excited and
Mm-hmm.
they're the type of people that like in their career, like they need to be like super organized, super about the
Yeah.
details. You know, having spreadsheets about everything. And that's fine. And it can even make the process easier if they communicate that way up front, which they did,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like, okay, this is a lot more detail than we would get into for like how many inches are going to be here on this kitchen and like what's going to go there, but there were good reasons for all of like the concerns and questions that they had, and they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be like super dialed in so they had no regrets once we build it. And as soon as like we got to the project and started building, almost every decision had been made down to like a lot of really small details, and it made it a lot easier. They were super excited the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they loved every Sunday when a YouTube video got uploaded and they could all watch it as a family. And it just turned out to be such an amazing job, and they were amazing clients. And I just knew, you know, it needed a little bit of a different touch from me up front
Mm-hmm.
to be communicative and figure out those details, um but it worked out great. So sometimes that can be a red flag if, you know, like you said, it comes from like a point of like, you know, hey, what's that little thing, and you're like, nah, this is just how we do it. You'd never expressed any concern about any of these details. You were just like, hey, yeah, any idea you have. That's the worst when people are like, yeah, hey, I trust you. Do whatever you want. And then like with every little thing, they're like, I don't know if I like that. It's like, well, why didn't you? I don't think you would have liked anything. You're just that type of person. So
right.
luckily, we've only had a couple of those in 9 years. So
yeah.
Hey,
Definitely.
I don't know how we totally got on to all this, but anyway, food for thought on this beautiful Saturday morning.
Well, so it'll be Monday morning when some people are listening to this.
But it will still have always been Saturday morning for us.
It's true.
So.
All right. Do you want to talk about what we're actually going to talk about this episode?
Oh, yeah.
15 minutes.
15? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about productivity and time management.
Yes.
That's
Things we need to work on.
We need to work on it a little bit. I need to work on it. You know what? I'm not going to let you off the hook. You need to work on it too, because we all do.
Yeah.
It's not just me.
I said we. I didn't say me or you. I said we.
Yeah, but I could see inside your mind, you were like, yeah, this is mostly for you, Sean.
No,
idiot.
All of us collectively as a team.
It's collectively, and everyone can improve on productivity,
of course,
but
that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And you especially need to work on it more and more. The longer that you're around me.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because
your bad habits rub off on other people.
I'm charismatic, is what it is. My they call it neurodivergent now. When you have like a mental thing that isn't right, right?
They do call it that, yeah. I also see people calling it like spicy, like your brain is spicy, and I think that's fun too. Is that how it feels in there?
I did, yeah. I felt something when you said that. Like, wow, it does feel like that a lot of times. Like, oh, it's spicy.
Yeah.
I was also talking to somebody, and their child is having like a really difficult time, like with a lot of these kind of like symptoms, and they described it as my brain feels like a tornado. And I was like, when I heard that, I was just like, wow, I've never felt more seen in my whole life. That is, wow, that's exactly how I feel a lot of times.
You should do what's that program? It's like Big Brother, Big Sister.
Yeah.
You should mentor that child.
I'd be like, I can't help you. Do you got any advice for me, little buddy? Yeah, they need somebody else. Yeah, maybe it would be helpful if like a little kid like focused too much about every little thing. I could help break them loose of that.
You could balance each other. Yeah, maybe that.
Exactly.
Maybe
so, yeah. Anyway, that's the reason that I thought this was apropos to talk about this week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think.
Did I just use that correctly?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think that productivity is necessarily our weak point. I do think that time management is something we could absolutely work on, but then it kind of bleeds into productivity because,
the more efficient you are with your time, the more productive you are.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. And for me especially, it goes in waves of being able to, deal with all these, daily tasks. That's the hardest thing for me, is like when I have all these little things to do, kind of getting overwhelmed by it and not really doing any of them effectively. And then it bleeds into distracting the people around me.
It definitely does. Yeah,
it definitely does. But it's tough because part of that is what makes it such a fun workplace environment.
Yeah, it's true.
A little. Yeah, you don't seem convinced by that at all. You're like, no, it's just annoying when you act like that. All right, thanks.
No,
Well,
it is fun, and it's very lighthearted, and it is fun. It's a very
and
fun
we laugh a
place to
lot.
work, obviously, and we do laugh a lot.
Yeah,
And we do laugh a lot about these kinds of things a lot as well.
yeah,
But it is something we could stand to work on it.
absolutely, absolutely.
I think
All
what we
right, so
really need to we something that we really need to work on is like quiet work. Cuz like when the three of us are in the van, we're going
it's
to be
tough.
chit-chatting.
Yeah,
It's such a tight space that it's like, you know,
yeah,
there's a million things to talk about. Some of them are work, some of them are not. I think
yeah.
we all need to put on like noise canceling headphones and really just focus. Like be like, okay, for 1 hour, we're all gonna focus and not talk to each other. It's silent time.
Yeah, the only that does work super well, especially for me. I don't know why I don't do that more often, but every time I listen, I'm listening to music, like working on a design or just whatever I have to do, some sort of computer work in the
Yeah.
van. It helps me focus so much.
Hmm.
But then there's also this little bit where it's like, every time somebody puts in headphones, you do the thing where you pretend like you have something important to say to them, and you're like, pretend like you're talking, but you're
Yeah.
just, going like,
It's
and
a
then the
great
person
bit.
has to
It's a
take
great
that,
bit.
like,
Yeah.
what do you want? And you're like, it's not important. So
Yeah.
there's, you know what? We're not managing our time effectively right now. Let's get right into it.
You're right. Okay.
I saw this a couple weeks ago. And it was a productivity cheat sheet. And it's a lot of the things that we've kind of heard of and talked a little bit about before, but I thought it really, condensed it really well. Maybe we
Hmm.
could post this on our pages so
Yeah.
people can check it out,
Okay.
because I felt like it really condensed it super well, and it's just one page of a couple different techniques that is good to be reminded of
Definitely.
every once in a while, or more than every once in a while for some people like me. Uh,
Hmm.
so what do you want to do? Just go through them kind of one by one, and we'll talk about them a little bit.
Yeah. All right. The
There's
first
9
one,
things here.
one of nine, the 2 minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it right away.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. You had something very profound to say about it.
This one, I feel like the hardest thing with this is like, if you this one would be a really good one for me, especially with text messages, emails,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, because it's like, I think everybody's so in the habit of checking their phone like every 5 minutes, like just, it's almost automatic. You pull out your phone, you pull up Gmail, and you like refresh it, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
boop, I got a little new thing. Let me see what this is.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I don't have time to write back to this right now. I'll get back to that later. So I think the hardest part of this technique is avoiding looking at things until you do have like the 2 minutes to do it. So
I
like
completely agree.
setting aside a time in the day to look at email, and that you have at least say 5 minutes right there to look at it. If there's anything that you need to respond to that takes less than 2 minutes, boom, you can do it right there. But if you're like right in the middle of a task and you pull up Gmail, like just because it's become like automatic to look at your phone all the time, and you're like in a conversation with somebody, then it's going to be really hard to be like, oh, hold on 2 minutes. I looked at this email and I have to do it right away because it's the 2-minute rule.
Yeah. And I feel
So,
like I I feel like with emails in particular, that's the benefit to email is it's easy to like bulk look at that, like look at it in the morning, look at it in the afternoon, and like bulk handle those things. But like with
yeah.
text messages, that's where I really fail because I'm like, if I answer this person back, then there's the potential that it's going to lead to a longer conversation that I don't have time for. Like I could answer this right now,
Yeah.
but then it could lead to a longer conversation, and I don't want to get into that. So then that's when I forget because I'm like,
Okay.
okay, now I've seen it, and then it's gone.
All right. Here's a test. How many unread text messages do you have right now?
Oh, none.
None?
Zero. Zero.
Same.
0.
Same.
1 unread email. Personal. Why?
Same.
What do you got? No, you don't have 0. You have like 10,000.
Not quite that much. 1,215 unread text messages. I've got 40.
I do not understand how that happens, because if you're in a text chain with somebody, like, and you eventually look at it, that's like you have 1,000 unread conversations.
That is precisely what that is, I guess. I mean, how's that possible?
You know what I mean? Like, if you had like 6 unread text messages, as soon as you open that, that's gone.
Well, I've got 1,215. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. It adds up quick. I've got 40 unlistened to voicemails. What?
Oh, that gives me so much anxiety.
What, 40 unlistened to voicemails?
Well, not the voicemails, because who even leaves voicemails anymore, but text messages.
Because I don't know, my number's out on those lists now, and it's just all robocalls, and they're like, have you checked your Google listing for it's ridiculous. And then it's
how do you know when you have a new one, though? Like a for real new one?
I almost never do.
Are you aware of that number? Or are you just randomly checking your texts throughout the day? Or voicemail?
A little bit of everything. It's really hit or miss. But it says right on the voicemail, if you're inquiring about a project, you got to go to our website and fill out the form. So,
right.
We're not really missing anything there, which is a game changer. So yeah, if people call and leave a message about a project, really it's on them. I'm not going to get back to them anyway.
Right.
They didn't follow the instructions. You got to go to the website, fill out the form. Right. So I usually don't worry about that. And then, nobody leaves voicemails anymore, except for my dad. Every time he calls, he'll leave a voicemail, and then I'll call him back, and he's like, did you listen to my voicemail? And I'm like, nope. And he's like, of course you didn't. I'm like, stop leaving them. Just text me, Dad. And every time he texts, he does it like he's writing a letter. Like he signs it at the bottom of each text. Nice. It's like, and he's putting like, starting a new line, like he's hitting the enter key to like start a new line and, sign each text message. And it's like,
I love that.
Yeah.
Random. I love parent texts. They're the best.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. The 2-minute rule. I think I've got a lot to work on there, but I think that's a good one.
I think that unrelated to texting or emails, I think that there's a lot like at work that we could, there's so many things like calling for a porta potty delivery or calling for a dumpster delivery. That takes 2 minutes. Knock those out. Like, I definitely think that those things we could, especially prioritize, like if we know we have to do them like just first thing in the morning, get those 2-minuters out of the way.
Absolutely. And I just came up with a great idea.
What?
Where is a spot where you just have time in the day that you could knock out these little things?
Where in the day?
Yeah, like at what point in the day when you're doing a certain task, do you have time to knock out, maybe double dip and knock out some of these easy tasks, like make a phone call, send an email?
I don't know what you're getting at. You got all day to do that, but first thing in the morning, like you said.
No.
Are you going to say something like on the porta potty or something? Board
inside the porta potty, yeah. That's just kind of dead time. And it's like, why not, while you're in the...
oh, my Lord.
In the blue sauna, knock out some
work.
That's only
applicable to you guys. You guys spend so much time in there. I get in and I get out.
It's basically the break room, almost, for some of us.
It really is, yeah.
That's not a bad idea, though.
Okay, we'll start putting a dry erase board in there.
I think that's a good idea, to be honest. But then there will be like, just obscene notes written on there. Yeah.
It's going to get out of hand really
quickly. Who wrote that? And I don't know. I didn't write that. Okay. Well, the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it right away. I think that's a great thing to work towards. Let's get on to the next one. 2 of 9.
Okay. 2 of 9. The 5-second rule.
Wow.
Count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just force yourself to take action. This helps to overcome the initial resistance to starting. I had never heard that one.
This is the only one I feel like is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Do you have to do it out loud? Because I feel like that would you'd lose a lot of respect from your coworkers.
That would be
All right,
very distracting.
guys,
5,
I'm gonna start
4.
working on this thing. 5, 4, 3, 2. That's actually kind of cool. Makes you feel like you're like a spaceship blasting off into space. I feel like it would work better if you say blast off at the end.
Oh, you'd have
5,
to. Yeah,
4,
I think that's a
3,
crucial
2,
part of this.
1. Blast off. Let me write up this proposal.
Yeah. I feel like if I ever got to a point where I needed to do that, I'd be like, I am being so ridiculous right now. Like, just shut up and do whatever I have to do. This is dumb.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe it'll work for some people.
Yeah, if you need to do that, maybe turn to some sort of medication. Because you're gonna lose a lot of respect around the workplace if you continually, especially if you're combining that with the 2-minute rule and you're doing a bunch of tasks that take less than 2 minutes. So every 90 seconds, you're like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's gonna be kind of weird, and people will make fun of you. So
I do think in regards to meditation, there is some value in if you're about to do something you don't want to do, or you need a little bit of motivation, there's a pause breath where you just sit inward and reflect inward for a second, take a calming breath, and then go do something. But I think that's more for more so stressful things rather than just things you don't want to do. But maybe there is something to that. Just pausing and going inward for a moment.
That actually makes a little bit more sense. When you know you have to do a little thing, or something that maybe takes a little bit more time, it's you got to bring yourself back to the present moment. So that kind of is taking a deep breath. Bring yourself back, be mindful. This is the task I need to do instead of being distracted by a million things. So maybe that's just counting backwards from 5 is kind of you could also just take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath, yeah.
Take a grounding breath. Bring yourself back to the present moment.
Yes.
And realize that, what's the point to any of this? Because we all die one day.
Okay. Depressing.
Yeah. No. Get to that
we
email.
All live one
the email's
day as
important.
Well.
Yeah. You know what I always say? At the end of the day, it's the end of the
day.
I don't know where I heard that recently, but it's my new favorite quote.
What? At the end of the day, it's the end of the day?
You know what they say? At the end of the day, it's the end of the day. And that's true. It's just the end of the day.
So true.
God, it really... And the last couple of times I've said it, people have gotten a pretty good kick out of it. So
yeah,
get ready to hear that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't think we need to dwell on that one too much. Number 3.
Number 3.
Can I read? Can I read some of these?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. You just were jumping in, so I was just going with it. But go ahead.
Okay, we've got the 1-3-5 rule. So we got the 2-minute rule, the 5-second rule, and the 1-3-5 rule.
God,
this one is probably my favorite one.
Okay.
At the start of each day, identify 1 big thing to accomplish, 3 medium things, and 5 small tasks.
Okay.
I feel like that's setting up your North Star for the day. It's these are the objectives I need to accomplish today. And especially for me, and I've talked about this quite a bit, where this is the hardest thing for me is to just get that stuff out of that. I need to pull it out of that tornado. I need to reach into that tornado inside my brain and pull these things out and put them in some sort of order, because otherwise when I have, every day, it's I easily have 9 different things to do, probably 1 big-ish thing, 3 medium kind of things, and then a bunch of small tasks. And if they're all just kind of spinning around in there, it's it's hard for me to be conscious of what do I even need to do? I spend most of my mental energy just okay, yeah, remember to do that thing. I need to do that thing. And you just write it down. It's out there. It's out there. And that's that's what you can kind of take that deep breath and come back to.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
I love this in that it's like identifying your daily tasks. I think that that's so
Yeah.
helpful. And I know for us, like as a team, that is so helpful. But like the thing that gets me when it's like a stringent, like, and I mean, it's not stringent, but like when it's like a 1-3-5 rule, that I get so obsessed with, like, how do I identify this so it fits into this? It's like, well, I would call that a medium task, but I need another smaller task to fit into my 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
so I'll only half do this task, so it counts as a small task. Maybe this medium task counts as 2 small tasks. I don't know what the conversion rate is on medium to small tasks.
My brain is
you're
so,
such a rule follower.
My brain is such a rule following being by nature that, like, when if I'm like, I'm going to commit to this thing, then it like goes off the rails. So I feel like I love the idea of like just identifying the tasks, but I don't think I could stick to specifically a 1-3-5 rule.
Yeah, my weakness is the opposite. I'm like, who the hell came up with this? This is stupid. Why am I following this thing? It's dumb. 1-3-5. Who needs it? And you're like, I don't have my 3 medium things yet. I need 1 more medium. Does anyone have a medium task I can borrow? Please. That would actually work out really well. If you can't fill up your tasks, I could always lend you a task. Yeah, I could definitely help you with that.
Okay.
I think that is, and I always say it. I mean, same thing. It's not like, the 1-3-5 would be really hard for me to stick to, and it usually doesn't fit into that cleanly. Some days you might not have any big tasks and you just have 10 small tasks, but just writing those things down, and when I can get in the habit of doing that, and it's so on and off for me, it helps me so much, just like be able to like look at that list, or it's just even easier to remember the list when it's written down. When I've gone through the action of writing it down, sometimes I don't even need to look at it for the rest of the day, and I still knock every single thing out because it's just like it's made real by writing it, and like that helps you stay focused on it. So
yeah, and it feels like chaos when it's just all living in your brain, and you're like,
God, it does. It feels like
so
a tornado.
overwhelming because I know I have so many things to do. But then when you write it down, you are kind of like, oh well, I just have that one big task and then 5 really small tasks. I can knock those out. That's not that big of a deal. Once it's out of your brain, it feels so much less overwhelming.
Okay, so here's a question for you. I have 1,215 unread text messages.
Yeah.
Going through those, would that be one big task or 1,215 small tasks? Because if it's that, it's going to take a really long time to knock through these.
You know what I think you should do? Go into your text messages. Do a select all, delete all.
Well, no, because sometimes, I'm scared of doing that, because sometimes it's like, I don't know, with a client or with somebody, it's like, I remember we talked about this. Let me search. And I'll always like pull up something that I need from like old conversations or something, But
don't they live in the cloud? Like you're just deleting it off your phone, but you can still go access them on the cloud, I think.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm really not sure. And now what I really want to do is just see if I can get a number on how many. So this isn't too bad, I don't think. How many unread emails do you think I have?
Oh my God. I can't even imagine. 30,000?
No, not that bad. 20,282. I feel like that's not that bad. Email's just kind of like a no man's land.
That's true. And I like, for my personal, at this current time, I have 1 unread email. But for my work email, I have 435, and that's because like that's a Gmail, and it like moves things into promotions. So all those like they still count and they're in there, but I don't have to look at them.
Oh, they are?
That's what gets me. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. But you're handling your business otherwise, right? You can't have all those unread emails. You're the one that's supposed to be on this.
No. Look, this is like
in your primary. It's good.
These are my like. That's well, you can't really see. Okay.
Yeah.
All of the things that are actual like people talking to me. those are handled, but it's just the promotions that like I don't need to know
Okay.
about Marriott rewards or whatever. And then those go
Yeah.
to the promotions, so I don't have to look at them, but it's still marked as unread. So that actually does really bother me to have that like 435 number up there on my little app. I'm not gonna go through and delete them all. It's just too many.
You could just select all if you want. I actually don't know if you can do that.
I don't know if you can
Whatever.
do that.
That's neither here nor there.
Whatever. We're getting on topic.
We're getting so off topic. Let's use the 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm just forcing myself to get back to business. The Pomodoro technique, number 4 out of 9. Set a timer for 25 minutes and focus on one task. After the timer rings, take a 5-minute break. Repeat this cycle 4 times, then take a longer break of 20 to 30 minutes.
I like that. Deep work. Well, no, I guess not deep work because it's only 25 minutes, but I like it.
Well, no, that can be. I feel like that can still be deep work. I think it just helps like put a boundary on like doing a task. Like if you have something that is somewhat deep work, like, you know, for me this would be like a design or you know, that would be like the number one thing for me that, like, you know, I need to focus on, that takes a really long time, that, you know, is maybe like a 4-hour task that's broken up. Otherwise it feels like it's mostly smaller tasks that are kind of put together. But this would be a really good way of, like, you know, putting a boundary on that focus. So it's like, okay, I'm 15 minutes in, it's like, my brain's starting to wander a little bit. Let me just get up and walk around and go outside and all this kind of stuff. But when you have this timer set up, it's like, no, I just have 10 more minutes to focus on this, and then I could take a 5-minute break and get back to it. So it kind of helps put a parameter on your focus and attention, and like, okay, I only have, instead of taking a break now, let me just do 10 more minutes because I got 10 more minutes on the timer, and then I can take a break. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. How I would relate this is editing photos, because that is like I get so focused in it, and then it, like, once I step back and look at it, I'm like, oh, that part doesn't look good, or like, you know, like I always need to be reminded to like step back, take a break, and then go back and look at it, because that's when like the best editing happens. I can't just like force myself to sit there until it's right. So this would definitely help with something like that. But when I'm doing other things, I wouldn't want to be like interrupted. You know, like if I'm like knocking something else out, I'm like, I don't want to take a break from this right now. I want to just keep plowing away and finish this until it's done.
Yeah, so I kind of feel the same way a little bit, because like the biggest task I can kind of think of that I have to do somewhat regularly is design stuff. And it's like, that's really hard to like be like, okay, I'm going to do this for 25 minutes. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't work that way exactly. It's like once you like kind of hit a rhythm and you're like, oh, okay, you're kind of in that flow, I feel like taking a 5-minute break might mess that up.
Yeah.
I feel like that's maybe not set up as much for like creative tasks. Might be better for like, I don't know, data entry, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what people do that aren't like, don't have like, what's just like a regular job? Can't think of one right now.
An accountant.
An accountant. That's a great one. Yeah. Go through the spreadsheets for 25 minutes. I would be so bad at so many different things. I'm glad I have this job.
That would be really funny to see how long you would last as an accountant. You should do that. You should find an accountant who wants to like swap jobs for a week and see if you can handle it, and they could handle your job. That'd be a fun little experiment.
I guess not for me. That sounds horrible. But it sounds like a fun experiment for them. They'll be like, "This is so fun." You just, have fun all day. Amazing. Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah, I feel like on non-creative tasks, this might be a better technique. But when you're feeling the flow in the moment, you got to just run with it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I do think
it's
it'd be
always
funny
funny
to
when you, what,
go ahead.
what?
I was thinking it would be funny if we took this theory to like the guys and we were like, all right, Anthony, focus, 25 minutes, then you got to take a 5-minute break. He'd be like, get out of here.
Yeah. He doesn't like to be told what to do either.
Sure.
And he thinks all this like self-help, self-improvement stuff is just nonsense.
Right.
Like, just do it. Why do you got to read a book to tell you to like do a good job and stay focused? He's one in a million, that guy.
Built different.
It's always really funny when you are editing photos and then you do take frequent breaks and just like come out, but like I feel like there's no other time when you're so like just like what's going on out here, everybody? You just like kind of like strut around and you're like, I'm only coming out here for no important reason, just to take a break. You know, you're like, I didn't come out here to ask you guys any questions, or I don't need anything from anybody. I'm not here to help. I just needed to get out of the van. This is my break time. And you just kind of like strut around like,
Yeah.
what's happening? What's everybody doing? You're like,
My
nothing. What are you doing? Oh, I just need to take a break. And you're just like out there kind of just roaming and kind of, you know, shuffling around. And yeah.
Just checking in. Just seeing what's
Just
going
checking
on.
in.
Taking a lay of the land.
Yeah.
What everybody's doing.
Yeah. I feel like editing photos, you really do need to like, that's like one of those tasks where you can like just be like extremely long periods of focus on something like that is not necessarily great, because it's like you get so focused on something and then like if you don't take a break and look at it, you're just like, what is this thing anymore? Like you get so dialed in that you don't even realize like this isn't even a picture anymore.
Yeah.
And that was like when Steve started editing that headshot of me, and I'm like, you know, you start editing someone's face and like it's a really slippery slope, because like after like 10 minutes I was like, yeah, like smooth that out right there or something. After like 10 minutes it was like, I mean, I was like, yeah, there you go, that looks good. And you were like, this isn't even you, this doesn't look
I don't know
anything
that person.
like you. This is like a smooth looking alien person that kind of looks like it could be your alien cousin. And that's so true. You can quickly like lose touch with like the reality of things when you're doing something like editing a photo.
Yeah.
Like you realize like, oh my God, there's like so much saturation on this photo. It looks like insane right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the moment, you just keep adding little things, and it's like, oh yeah, that looks a little bit better. That looks a little better.
Yeah.
You need those breaks.
Yeah. And especially with our photos, it's like if you have like a big aerial shot and then there's like a neighbor, like I'm thinking of like specifically the last job that we edited, there was so much happening in the neighborhood. So I'm like, well, okay, well, this car is really like, it's just drawing my focus. I need to get it out of there. I edit that out. And I'm like, okay, well, now this thing's piquing my interest. And then it pretty much, it's like, okay, now it's just a house floating in space because I've edited everything out. And it's like, this is
pretty awesome, though.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
But not helpful to what we were doing. So
true.
It is so hard. It's so easy to just get like way too into those. And I definitely like pigeonhole my focus into that. And I could just do it for hours. So anyway.
That's the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and do that cycle 4 times. So that's 2 hours, and then take a longer break.
Yes.
20 to 30 minutes. So take it for what you will. Use it at your leisure. Okay. You want to hit the next one?
Yeah. The next is the 80-20 rule. 20% of your efforts give you 80% of the results. So focus on that 20% of super important tasks first. By focusing on high impact tasks, you can achieve more with less effort.
This one's a good one.
This is a good one. I do like this one.
This is, I think, a good one for, I think, like evaluating the things that you do on a daily basis every so often. So maybe like, you know, quarterly, you kind of look at your daily workload and what your responsibilities are. And when you do that and you kind of reflect on it, you can see a lot of times like 80% of the things that I'm doing are things that I'm not the best suited for, are not getting done super, super well. And it's that 20% of things that I do that drives 80% of the results. So
Hmm.
let me dial more and double down on this thing that's getting the most results. I think the thing that gets confusing for some people or gets missed with this 80-20 rule is like that the other 80% isn't necessarily important. It might be that sometimes that like you're focusing on this thing that can be completely abandoned, which could be like a product or a service or something that really isn't like driving the company forward.
Hmm.
Other times I think that 80% is just things that need to be delegated off of your plate that, aren't the things that are, moving the needle big time or you're not the best suited for. So it's taking you more time to do less effectively. And realize what are those 20% of things that you are really best suited for and can really move the needle there.
Yeah. So
Thoughts?
where do you think you are with this 80-20?
I think 80% of the time that I'm there on site would be better shifted into like the 20% that I'm not there. So spend more time not there and just let you guys do your thing and stop distracting you. I think that would
Okay.
be great.
Okay. Okay.
Um no, I think probably I think really just thinking on creative stuff. And also when we've been talking about this, that like I need to like detach for a little bit. And like I feel like we're at a point where we need like a new next step vision.
Hmm.
Um and we haven't like completely defined that quite yet. I think we're in like a weird spot where it's like we're we've done a lot of the things that are on like the initial vision that still need to be worked on and nurtured and like pushed forward. That so it's like, we don't need to like we haven't accomplished everything and like, okay, this is done, we need a completely new vision. We just need like something to like guide us forward a little bit more definitively, which I think I need a little bit more quiet time. I think
Hmm.
part of that 20%, lately it's been like 5% of, you know, vision thinking. I need to get back to doing a little bit more of that on a weekly, monthly, daily kind of basis. And I think that just comes with like quiet time,
Hmm.
which for me is kind of hard to get because usually wherever I go, I'm there and I'm making a lot of noise. So it's hard to get quiet time around me, and I'm
Yeah.
around me all the time.
Yeah.
So
I know. I really want you to do one of those silent retreats. I feel like if anyone would
I feel like I would
benefit,
lose my
I
mind.
know. I feel like if anybody would benefit from one, it would be you because it would be so challenging, and that's where like the magic happens when you're being so challenged. Because when was the last time you feel
Can you
like
have
you
your
were
phone?
challenged in that way, like really, really challenged? The last time you did something that really like pushed you to your edge of being challenged. It's probably been a while, so I think that I really feel like you should do that.
I don't
Think
know.
about it.
That just seems so difficult. Or do you have your phone, or is it no phone?
No, 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 no.
No phone?
You're reflecting inwards. Like during a silent retreat, usually you're meditating, you're journaling. I think that they do have like a guide, not a guy, a guide guiding you around and like
Like
through
physically through
exercises.
space?
Yes, he grabs your shoulders and guides you. No,
Okay.
they put you on a journey and they like help guide you through what you're not just sitting there silently for like days on end, just like by yourself. Like they help guide you through this experience.
Do they talk
But
or no?
I believe they do. I mean, I think that most of the time you are silent and you are in silence, but I think that they are guiding you with like helping you like guided meditations or like telling you, what to do.
It sounds like a weird
But
power move. You can't talk at all,
but
but
that's where
I
the
can talk.
magic happens because that's how it would be so difficult for you to not talk for like I think they're like 3 days. I think that it would
Well,
be
I feel
really
like if I
difficult.
can't talk, then they can't talk either. They can just write it down on a dry erase board if they don't need to
Okay.
guide me.
Well, maybe
That's
that's
not
what they do.
fair.
I don't know.
I would be the one like standing up in the class, like, why do you get to talk? We need all mutiny. This is bullshit. Why are they getting all the talking?
I did forget that the last time you were a student, I don't think you were a
good student.
Not that you weren't didn't do well in school, but that you were a bit of a rabble rouser in school.
Yeah, I would say
breaker,
that's
a line crosser.
Just I'm not just gonna take things that you say as fact. I'm gonna say, but why?
Yeah.
And now Max, that's all he does is just say, why? It's like, man, this is so annoying. Oh my god! But I still want to encourage it. So, yeah, tough one there.
You should question the norm. Good for him.
Absolutely. Anyway, 80-20 rule. Focus your efforts on that 20% of important stuff, and take a little time to do a little self-reflecting, to figure out what are those 20% of things that you need to focus more on, or just to recalibrate your North Star. That's what I need to do.
Yeah. And in today's edition of We're Not Managing Our Time Well, we're like almost at our full hour, and we still
we're gonna have to push that book review for another week, I guess. Yeah. We didn't even start getting into it.
I know. Let's get through these last 4. We're doing great.
We're doing so good.
Break tasks into pieces. You'll feel less overwhelmed and more motivated to tackle each part of the task. This I do like. I love this one.
This one's kind of a double downer, because it's also going to help you with the 1-3-5 rule. So you can take a medium task and break it into smaller tasks. So it kind of helps you hit both tasks. Of these. Yeah. I think that is a good one for people that have a hard time like with that initial start of a big task.
Yep.
I think that could be really helpful. And most of the time a big task is just a conglomeration of a bunch of smaller tasks. So break it up, write it down, and that also gives you kind of a roadmap to how to accomplish that big task.
Yeah.
It's like when you just look at that big task, it's like, that's such a big task. How do I wrangle that up?
Mm-hmm.
But when you realize it's just like, oh, it says I just have to knock out a bunch of small tasks, and I get to check off this big task.
Exactly. And there's like a dopamine thing when you get to check something off of a list. So if you broke that big overwhelming thing into 5 smaller things, and then you get to check off that, like, did that 5 times, that's like, your brain loves that.
Yeah, I remember reading that before, and it quickly got to just like a ridiculous point where it was like,
tie your shoes, check. Get in the car, check.
Exactly. Like, wake up, check. Get to work, check. Don't get fired, check. Just stuff like that. But all right, that one's pretty simple. Break tasks into pieces. It's going to help you out. Next one, eat the frog. We did a whole episode on this.
Yep.
Tackle your most challenging task first thing in the morning. So you've already written these things down with the 1-3-5 rule. You've got your one big thing to accomplish. Knock that out first thing. You've got the most mental stamina. You've got the most focus. You're not depleted yet. Hit that thing and get it out of the way, and it makes the rest of the day so much easier. You feel accomplished. You feel like you really did something, and it's done. And it'll make the rest of the day feel a lot more productive.
Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of adjacent to this, like, I don't know if you feel this way, but now that I'm working out at like 5 a.m., like, it's not a frog, because it's not like it's not like I don't enjoy doing it. I do enjoy doing it. But knowing that I got something so like important and active and time consuming out of the way first thing, and then I'm like, I've already done this big thing by 6 a.m., that is like such a good thing for my brain to just know that I've done something big already.
Yeah.
I can do anything for the rest of the day.
That's true. But sometimes it's like, if you have a big task at work, it's like, well, I already did my big task. My big task was working out, and I already did that. So, no, I do feel like, and it's just, I think it's easier in the morning. With some stuff, I don't necessarily feel like I'm more focused in the morning. Like working out in the morning has been great for me, not because I have the most energy in the morning or I feel the strongest or I feel like I'm performing the best, but you just don't have time to, you know, make up excuses and get distracted with other stuff yet. It's just
Hmm.
like get up, put my pants on or my shorts, weather dependent, you know. So maybe check the weather first and then just get in the car and go to the gym.
That's all you're wearing? No shoes, no shirt?
No problem. Yeah, no. CrossFit is just
Put your pants on and that's it. Get out the
put your
door.
pants on and that's it. And then just out the door. No, I've done that a couple times and I get there and I'm like, "Ugh, forgot my shirt and my shoes. Dang it.
Shoes. I got blisters
God.
now.
God, so many blisters. And I do wear shoes and a shirt typically.
Oh, good.
Not jacked enough yet to do top off, but hopefully soon.
Is there a lot of top off happening?
There's one top offer.
Hmm.
You know, only I'm sure once summer comes,
Oh, for
there's gonna be
sure.
more tops coming off.
Yeah.
And hopefully by then I'll be so freaking chiseled that I'll just be like, I'm probably the top will just, kind of like spontaneously combust, maybe.
That'd be cool.
I don't know.
What's that
Anyway,
called? A sleeper build? Isn't that what the kids call it these days?
I don't know what that
When
means.
it's like when you're wearing like a long sleeve shirt, you don't look like you'd be jacked, but then you take your shirt off and it's like, oh my gosh, wow, where'd that six pack come from?
I
You
feel
heard
like the
that?
problem with that is like then you're just like, oh, I got a sleep. What do they call it? A sleeper build?
Mm-hmm.
I got a sleeper build. And then you're just constantly looking for excuses to take your shirt off. And there's not that many that seem natural.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, just taking my shirt off so I can reach this bottle of water at the convenience store. I feel like that comes a slippery slope where you're just looking for every excuse to show off your sleeper build.
True.
And then it's no longer a sleeper build because then you're just a guy that is never wearing a shirt. It's the opposite of a sleeper build.
It's true.
So
It's
slippery
true.
slope there.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on this task, this topic, but
Okay. Next.
I thought a sleeper build was, I feel like a more accurate thing would be it just looks like you spend most of your time sleeping and not working out.
That's what I go for.
That's kind of what I have right now that I'm trying. It looks like I sleep in every day. It really does. But you can't focus on that. You got to just say, this is for my health. I'm doing this for my
Exactly.
health.
It's not a vanity thing. It's a mental health and physical health thing.
Absolutely. It's a vanity thing, but you have to cloak it under the idea that it is just, I don't care what I look like. I'm just doing this for my own health.
Mm.
And then the vain stuff just comes as a byproduct. So
Okay, anyway. Next.
anyway, yeah.
Not to-do list. Identify tasks or activities that are not essential and that can be delegated and stop doing them. That's
Stop
a
it.
great one. Stop was
I think this
bolded
is
in this, so that's why I emphasized it.
a great one. It's a twofold one for me. And I know we're running short on time, but I don't want to just like rush through these so quick.
No, go ahead.
People
Take
made
your time.
if people made it this
Take your
far.
time. Yeah.
People made it this far,
Y'all got a couple extra minutes, don't ya?
Y'all got a couple because this is where we're getting to the really good stuff. I think this is twofold. You can identify things that you are not best suited for, or like your skill set does not allow you to do these things the most effectively, or it's just a simple task that is chewing up a lot of your time that could be better used somewhere else. So the delegation, I think that's a great thing to be able to identify and stop doing those. Or just as a whole, as an organization, as a business, identify the things that you're not going to do. And
Right.
this reminds me, which I've been thinking about a lot lately, is if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. I
Yeah.
think that we should get that printed up and put in the van. Not that we've been doing a lot of things that aren't a hell yes, but I feel like I just been thinking about that a lot lately, and I should use that more as a gauge of whether we're going to do things or not.
Yeah, I love it.
Can also get a slippery slope. It's like, you know, do you want to send out that email? Well, it's not a hell yes. So it's a no. Do you
Yeah,
want to
you
pay
can't
off
do it.
the business credit card bill?
Yeah.
It's not a hell yes. So I guess it's a no. That's a slippery slope. But
Yeah.
hey, what are you gonna do? It's slippery slope. Go skiing. That's what I always say.
God, you are always
When
saying
I
that.
God, I'm always saying that. And at the end of the day,
Mm,
it's the end of the day. I really like that one. It's kind of
so
like
profound, yeah.
ants thing. Wherever you go, that's where you are.
Mm-hmm. Got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet or whatever the other one is.
Yeah,
Something
but
like
then
that.
you have breakfast.
Then you have
It's a good start
breakfast.
to your day. All right, last one.
Can
Read it
you read
for
it?
us.
Oh, okay. Eliminate multitasking. Focus on one task at a time to improve concentration. Sean, how do you feel about multitasking?
It's so amazing that I know that not only am I not good at focusing on one thing, I'm like even worse at focusing on multi things.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I still feel like I convince myself on a daily basis, like, no, I do much better if I'm just doing a little this, a little of that.
Yeah.
And as soon as I take 1 second to like think about that, I'm like, this is obviously not effective. But
Mm-hmm.
my default brain mode is just like, oh yeah, you know, they introduce a little chaos into this, and this is how you roll, baby. Keep going. Yeah. Freaking throw some more in here. And it's always, and I think it's always going to be more of a mental hurdle for me to remind myself, this is not good for me.
Yeah.
You can't focus on one thing. You definitely can't focus on 10 things. So stop it.
Yep. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my brain tricks me a lot. So
I
this
know.
one is definitely a tough one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, how often am I like, how often are you sitting 3 feet from me and you're having a conversation with me? And then like, I just like start sending an email.
Yeah. All the time. Or I'm like, Sean, can you send me this thing? And you go in your phone to send me something. And then you're doing something else. And I'm like, did you forget what I asked you? And you're like, yeah, I got distracted. I'm on Instagram now or something. It's actually
Well,
amazing
probably,
how
no,
quickly it happens.
it's probably your fault. You didn't realize it's in 20% of things that I need to stop doing. So I need to focus on the important stuff, and sending you whatever you asked for 2 seconds
Yeah.
ago isn't that important to me. So
Yeah. I do get
it's
that.
not in
Yeah.
that's in the 80%. Then I'm going to delegate back to you. So God, it's so
Yeah.
difficult. It's so
Yeah.
difficult. And it just
Yeah.
makes me grateful that, that I have this business that allows me to at least somewhat successfully exist with this mental state that I exist in. I don't know. I just the
I
the
feel like
the more and more.
this is
But
feeling like we're attacking your mental health, and I don't want it to appear that way. There are lots of things that you're very good at, and
yeah, but also a
multitasking
lot
just
of things
isn't
that I'm
one of
really
them.
bad at
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
that I've been upfront with since
Yeah.
the rip.
Okay.
Um, but it just makes me feel grateful that I'm able to exist in this place where I can focus on my strengths, and nobody can really fire me, because I
Yeah.
feel like anywhere else, I would just not do well in any type of environment that someone else set up for me. Like fitting in as a cog somewhere else, I'm not a shape that fits into any other system. You got to reinvent the whole system to have me fit into it. So that's why I'm glad that I work here.
Yeah. You've crafted your own reality, and isn't that a beautiful thing?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's very scary. Anyway, yeah, I think this was a great reminder episode for me to stay focused on. I think I just loved when I saw this, that it was like, this is a really good thing that you can just like look at, and if you're distracted, you can almost like see which one of these things are you not following right now. If you're having a
Yeah.
really hard time accomplishing something, it's like, you know what? I didn't write it down. Or, you know what? This is a 2-minute thing I could do right now. Let me just do it right now. I think it really resonated with me, and it's always something that I can work on. It's definitely one of my weak spots. Just so it doesn't seem like we are just bashing my mental health and being. I'm a very creative thinker.
You are. And I think,
There you go.
for the record, that like 80-20 thing, I think that you have done a great balance of that, because you are aware of the things that you A, aren't good at, and B, don't want to do, and you do delegate them. So I think that you have successfully done that one.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
I don't want to appear like we're just bashing you and your mental health, because you are very good at a lot of things. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I think one of the most important things that you can do as a human or as a business owner is be upfront with all the things that you're not good at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because I think people see the work that we do. They see, how much that we do. People are always like, how do you find time for the podcast? How do you find time to post all this stuff, make all the videos, do the jobs, do all this stuff? So like, I feel like people get the idea that like, obviously we have something figured out, so it's not all terrible. You know what I mean? So I feel like that part speaks for itself. And then you should be like, the last thing I want is for people to think like, oh wow, he's like such a high performer, I could never do that. Like, I want the work, and everything else speaks for itself, and that's like great. We do these cool things, and I'm proud of it. But I also want to, like, all of our content and all of our everything else, I want to be like super upfront with other people and with myself, all the things that I'm horrible at, so that people are like, I want people to think, wow, this idiot can do it, so can I. That's like what I want our brand to be. Like, anyone can do this stuff. I'm by far not the best suited to do anything that we're doing. So I think it's important to bash yourself in a constructive way. So
yes.
Name something that you totally suck at right now, Catherine.
There's a lot of things that I'm not good at.
Hit it. Saying no to getting more animals.
Oh God, yeah.
Terrible at that.
Anything.
Yeah. You think about it for next week.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's lots of things I'm not good at. I'm not good at. I feel like my organization has definitely struggled recently. I'm not good.
That's you're just saying your organization is so bad it has turned one of my strengths into a weakness. That's not fair. You're like, recently, since I have been near your proximity so much, I am even starting to falter. No, we reflect on that. You don't need to come up with something right now.
Oh, I have one. I'm an overcommitter.
Oh God, aren't we all?
I like taking on way too many tasks when I shouldn't.
There you go.
Personally and professionally, I do that because I want to do a little bit of everything, and I like experiencing a little bit. I like learning a little bit about everything. But that is not good, and I do it all the time.
Don't we all? God, we always do. Anyway, hopefully everyone enjoyed this. We've gone a little bit over, so we'll talk about the book that we read like 3 weeks ago next week. And
gives the people another opportunity to read it. It was good, so Buddha and the Badass.
It was awesome, yeah. And I feel like it's gonna take a lot of time to talk about. So
yeah,
we'll talk about it next week. But hey, if you could do us a favor and tell a friend about the podcast. We do this completely for free. We're making no money. We're sacrificing time with our family on Saturday morning. So tell a friend about it and help us out. leave us a
Yeah.
review, all that good stuff. That's it. So till next time, this has been the Hardworking Happy Hour.
See you next week.